Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing super well. So I have played with lovely jet guitars JS380 for a couple of months now, I think 2 months. So I think it is time to give you my little opinion about it. So actually Jet did reach out to me this summer asking if I would like to try one of these new models they have. And let me tell you, the choice was very easy for me because I already had a big interest for this model, this precise model online. But even though they very kindly sent me this guitar, I'm definitely going to give you my most honest opinion about it. So if you're interested in this guitar or jet guitars in general, you're at the right place. So let's talk a bit about jet guitars. If you already know my channel a bit, you know I absolutely love the JS380, a guitar I bought years ago now with my own money, and I've made a lot of videos about it on my channel. And this JS380 I would still happily rate it very highly till to this day in the affordable guitar world, you know. In fact, even though I bought and sold quite a lot of guitars the last few years, the JS380 is still around and it plays like a charm, really. I think jet guitars have actually changed this affordable guitar game quite a bit. To my knowledge, they were the very first brands to introduce things like rusted maple necks on such budget-friendly guitars, you know, while still caring so much about the little details and the overall balance of the guitar. I mean, it obviously wasn't just a marketing thing, you know. They did put a lot of thinking and care on these guitars. You know, they could have sold us crappy guitars to play, crappy instruments, but with a nice rusted maple neck on paper. That's what I mean by the overall balance of the guitar. And the JS380 is actually a perfect example. It is a great guitar for a price, a nice piece of wood, great looking hardware that does its job really fine. Finish was impeccable. It sounded awesome for the price, and then the rusted maple neck was the nicest cherry on the cake, really. Now, a couple of years later, lots of different brands are trying to copy the good recipe here. But I do have a lot of respect for jet guitars, since they have been the first really to offer this kind of products to people like you and me. Like Sire Guitars did a few years back when they launched the S7 in a different price range, of course, but that was kind of a game changer back then. Well, I think Jet Guitars, which is also quite a new brand still, deserves the same kind of respect in the guitar world. They promise, they deliver. Their guitars are designed in Slovenia, actually, if you didn't know that. They are made in China, though, in a factory dedicating on making these. Not like many factories making guitars for like 15 different brands. Now here it's simpler. One factory, one quality control for only one brand. Simple and yet apparently quite efficient, as we'll see with this beautiful looking JS380 OWG. So OW for Olympic White, G for Gold. why did I choose this one in a heartbeat? Well, I'm not gonna lie, when it comes to guitars, I can be a bit conservative. I do really like when a Strat looks like a Strat. I do really like when a Tilly looks like a Tilly. And the most little details can put me off sometimes. Like a Strat with only 2 knobs or with the jack plate on the side, you know, little silly things like that. It's of course very subjective, but it's how it works for me anyway. So when I first saw this JS380 online, which is a Strat, looking like a Strat, which is the big sister of a JS300 I already love, with gold hardware, a nice white finish and some lovely specs. Well, I was very curious, to be honest. Speaking of specs, quickly, the body is made of roasted poplar, which is interesting. We have Alnico 5 jet designed pickups in this. Nice cream plastics, which always look so much better in my opinion than the plain white thingy. A 6 screws jet branded bridge here. The neck is made of Canadian roasted maple, definitely a satin finish, but we'll talk about it a bit more later. Rosewood fretboard in here, not that I don't like Indian laurel, but god, rosewood definitely feels nicer under the fingers. We have 22 medium jumper frets with a 9.5 inch radius, which is, in my opinion, again, the most perfect radius you can have on a Fender-like guitar. We have a bone nut, please, a nice logo on the headstock next to these jet branded, again, locking tuners, which is a very, very nice touch. But enough about the specs. I would rather talk about the experience playing it for a few months now. There are two very first things I would like to mention about this guitar. The first one, god, it is so lightweight, and the second one, wow, this neck feels incredible, really. So it's quite a shame I do not have anything around to weight this guitar, as it's seriously shocking how light it is. By very far the lightest guitar I have ever owned, except the Squire Mini Strat, obviously, it's lighter. But god, this is light. I remember that day the carrier left the package right next to my door. And when I got home from work, I remember I did lift the package to come in my apartment, you know. And I was so concerned on the moment when I lifted it. I was so concerned about the package being empty. That's how light it felt, really. Hopefully it wasn't empty. But yeah, if weight is important to you, this is a very light guitar. About the neck feeling incredible, well, it really freaking does. And it is a big step up from the JS300, which already had a great neck, especially for the price. But this definitely is a big step up. The finish makes it very fast, very enjoyable, very smooth. No sharp frets, no scratchy frets either. The edge of the fretboard actually feels a bit walled. The rosewood look great. It's a C-shaped profile, so it will please anyone really. Just an all-round freaking great neck to play. So these are the two main things I remember, especially from the unboxing experience: the weight and the neck. Plugged in, this was actually a very nice surprise. Lots of resonance. Spunky but warm, well-balanced dynamic pickups, and I must say I'm quite surprised by the quality of the pots in here. I was not expecting much, to be honest. In this price range, it's always some kind of on-off filling knobs, you know. And I'm totally fine with it because, well, when you do buy a guitar that is affordable, you cannot expect it to be the absolute perfection. But these pots actually work really great. The volume knob, for example, is retaining quite a lot of ice when well down. It is very smooth and linear filling, if that makes any sense really, which makes it very usable. So these pots, very nice touch. Other than that, it sounds like a Strat. It definitely has that vibe and that character we all love. So if, like me, you do like Strat tones, Strat sounds, you won't be disappointed. About the hardware, I must say I do not use the trem, never did on any guitar anyway, so I cannot tell you much about the trem system, to be honest. All I can say is that tuning stability has been perfect so far. I do bend a crazy lot and snap the strings quite hard with my fingers, you know, right hand, but I had absolutely no problem with tuning stability. The tuners do feel quality on these, actually. But yeah, about the trem system, I cannot tell you much more about it. If you're interested, watch John Cordy's video about this. Fuzz is such a stunning player, and also, honestly, anyone on this planet should be subscribed to his channel. I'm just saying. Oh, there's actually something I could say about the hardware, more precisely the bridge. So while the tuners look quite beautiful, I must say I'm not a fan of the saddles. Don't get me wrong though, they do work just fine. I just quite dislike the look of it. These remind me of the crappy saddles you could find on very cheap guitars back then. I don't know, I don't like the way they look. I do much prefer the saddles on the JS380, for example. Vintage style is the way, isn't it? But again, very subjective. They objectively work very well, and I guess it's part of the vintage modern idea behind this guitar and behind jet guitars in general. Finish-wise, it's just a beautiful, well-made guitar, really. Common, I mean, Olympic white, gold hardware, cream plastics, a nice piece of rosewood, a very nice dark piece of rusted maple. What's not to love about this, really? By the way, kudos to Jet Guitars for their photos on the websites. Very representative to how the guitar looks in real life. Not always the case for different brands. The same guitar also exists in black and a nice red one, red finish that looks kind of Fiesta red. If you fancy a humbucker in bridge position, well, you might want to take a look at the JS380 Reverb. So overall, I've been quite impressed, and I wasn't expecting less in the meantime. Jet Guitars is a brand I do trust, so 350 euros in one of their guitars I know will feel like a 500 to 600 guitar, at least. They did not disappoint here, for sure. For the price, if I had to rate it today after playing it for 2 good months, I would happily rate it 10 out of 10. If I had to be extra picky though, 2 little things to mention. The gold finish on the saddles is already wearing off a tiny bit. I know this is common on gold hardware anyway, and to be honest, I do sweat a freaking lot when I'm playing, plus my sweat is very acid, so it sure doesn't help, but I need to mention it. Another silly picky thing to mention, the very first few times I've played it, when bending on the G string quite hard on the first few frets, the string would come out of its place on the net sometimes. So after a couple of hours playing it, it was all fine and never had this problem again. So if you happen to have this problem with yours, it's a bit like with everything really. Give it some love, give it some time, and it's gonna be okay. Otherwise, everything has been perfect so far, and since the guitar was brand new and still kinda is, I know it's only going to get better and better with time, because that's what happens with good quality instruments, you know. So the Jet Guitars JS380, well, big thumbs up. I do recommend it to anyone, really. Beginners, intermediates, even very good advanced players, you know, they will love the neck on this. If you have any question, feel free to comment below, of course. Like and subscribe if you'd like. And until the next video, well, stay safe, have fun, and be funky, as always. Bye bye, ciao.